Hey everyone, welcome to yet another Two Noobs Talking video podcast, episode 4. My name's Matt. John, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
What's up, Matt? How are you?
I'm doing great, doing great. As always, a great pleasure to be with you. And obviously, there's been a little news this last week. Little birdie, was telling me that there was an election, I think, coming up, and
Oh,
it's now since passed, and Biden's the president-elect. Very contentious election. But one election that I think you and I will talk about further, but certainly nothing under the sun, right? In terms of its contentiousness.
oh, definitely not the first time this has happened at all.
Yeah.
I guess what I want to say and what I want to bring to people is, yeah, this. I mean, no news under the sun. I mean, A, B, like Democrats, Republicans, we all knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to be messy. We knew it was going to be whoever your liar is, and I'm speaking for the middle. Whoever your liar is, you knew it was going to screw up the election, whether it be the right or left.
Well,
he
exactly.
did it. Whatever. Like, I'm not trying to get involved in that.
Yep.
What I want to put forth to people is my thought process is who the president is does not affect my life at all, ever.
Mhm.
Not, I don't actually care.
Yeah.
I have opinions on presidents,
Mhm.
very strong opinions on presidents, but they don't affect my life at all.
Mhm.
Who affect my lives are commissioners, mayors, governors, the House of Representatives,
Mhm. State legislatures.
state legislation. Yeah. Thank you for, I paused for some reason. I was like, I know all the
Here to help
you. But the Supreme Court, there are so many things that are so more important than who the president is, but we get together once every 4 years to argue about it.
Absolutely.
Argue about, they like to call him the leader of the free world.
That's right.
I bet you there are a lot of people in other countries that are doing the same stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That have contention on that he's called the leader of the free world.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The good people. I'm not saying how media wants to tell everybody's bad over there.
Yeah.
It's not like there are people that are actually doing stuff. Peace treaties, things that are actually happening in this world. These people.
Yep.
Even the president of Mexico said that he wasn't satisfied.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Because you know what? He's the president of Mexico. He's allowed to say that.
Exactly.
This is kind of what I want to get to. If you're really unhappy, let's not riot. Let's not fight. Let's not argue on Facebook. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
In 2 years, you have the midterm elections. If you really, really hate what happened, guess what? Primaries are important.
Yep.
Midterms are important. Yeah. You can gain the House.
Yep.
You can gain advantage for what you believe in if that's how much you care. If you want to be this political and care that much about it, there are ways. You can even run for a commissioner seat. You can change the way things are done. And I'm all for that. I want that for people.
Absolutely.
That's something that I'm planning to do. Not in the near future, but in there's some hurdles I have to get over.
Absolutely.
No, it's something I'm planning to do.
Yeah.
When we fully settle, when my family fully settles where we're going to be, I'm going to be so active in the community. I'm going to take my work ethic, in which has done me well for my life, and I'm going to serve my community. I'm going to do everything that I can. Yeah. Everything that I possibly can, whether it be government or sports or where it's going to be. That's one of my main goals in life is to find a community and be entrenched in it and be a good voice. And everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Everybody can
do that. Absolutely.
The only problem is politicians tell you can't do it because you don't have money. That's not how this works.
Yeah, exactly.
And things are changing and things are growing in these aspects that we need to look at and move forward on to make to make life better and stop worrying about who the president is.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Yeah.
nobody knows all the presidents. I think I may, but I'll probably trip up on 5. But we're not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, well stated, John. I think for me, there's a few things. One, I mean, we'll definitely touch base on this. The contentiousness of the election, it's nothing new under the sun. It's something that is part of Americana. Unfortunately, it is what it is. It dates. I may mention this on my own Facebook page. I think it was like last week, just talking about like, dating back to 2000, with Bush Gore. We'll touch base on that. You found something on 1948 with Truman Dewey. We'll touch base on that. But even further back, the third presidential election, thinking about that, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson. You want to talk about heated rivals? They were tooth and nail, punching each other below the belt, whatever the case was. Adams was firmly in the camp of saying, like, if Jefferson gets elected, he's going to take this country right down the toilet. That didn't happen. We're still here. So,
Matt, can I just one point?
Go for it.
The whole thing. Could you imagine iPhones, CNN?
Oh my gosh!
With that election?
No.
Seriously, could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Everybody would think that the world was ending.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, and that
just reading on that when you told me about that, just reading on that, if that was blown up to the magnitude that we live now. Oh my God. You wouldn't think that the world was ending.
This is such a great point, because this leads to like kind of my what I would like to call my after action review of the 2020 election. Two things what I want to have changed. One, the pollsters are a bunch of frauds. They can't get anything right. It is time to abolish polls. Polls that had Biden up 10 points, polls that had Trump up 10 points. Drop kick into the ocean. You might as well just say, the hell with it at this point. There is no way to accurately poll people. To be personally, my side, personally speaking, Americans have been overpolled for decades. And I think they are more sophisticated. I hate to say that. I don't think they are. Maybe in the back of my mind they are. But they're more sophisticated now in terms of telling people, hey, yeah, I'm going to vote for this, but then make a last-minute choice, a last-minute decision. There's no way a pollster can ever accurately say, okay, this is what the tendency is going to be.
To be honest with you, you'd have to say that politics was up and on the up and up.
Yeah.
We all know that isn't. Don't even look yourself in the mirror if you're like, the election is 100. Like,
yeah. You might, so get rid of the polls. Just get rid of them. Just, they're done. You can't, Frank Lutz, nice, find a new hobby, to be perfectly honest with you. Find a new hobby, move on with your life, build Lego sets.
Go to Vegas and
go to Vegas. Yeah, exactly.
Because Vegas didn't even get this election right.
Exactly. So
we all know about sports.
The ability for us to even forecast, where, fronts are going to hit, or we don't do this very well. So let's just stop the facade. Let's just stop the nonsense of getting polled to death, because I think that's exactly what happened here. It happened in 2016. It happened in 2020. And I could hear the arguments, well, it's Trump and all that. No, they've gotten it wrong. It's time to get rid of polling. We're done with that.
Well, they even got it wrong. Let's go into these things that we're going to talk about now. Let's start with
I do want to make one other point, though,
please
real quick. Yard signs, also, get rid of them. We have seen too many instances of people stealing yard signs. Quite honestly, that's something 8-year-olds do. Okay. I'll give you an example. Where I live, just outside in the suburbs of Philadelphia, I was driving by one on the same street, no lie, same street. One guy had about a 3-foot Trump Pence sign in between two trees, basically like this. But in between the trees and in between the sign was a chicken wire, basically wrapped around the trees to prevent people from stealing the sign. And no lie, John, about 1,000 yards down the road, there was a Biden sign untouched. Now, you can make an argument all you want, whether or not, someone was going to steal the Trump sign or whether someone was going to steal the Biden sign. The point is, get rid of the damn yard signs. I'm sick and tired of seeing them. To be perfectly honest, they don't change anybody's expectation. It'll change anyone to make a decision on what, whether or not you're swayed to one side or the other. They're pointless. You encroach upon people's property to steal these signs, which is a criminal offense. You should not be doing something like this going forward. So get rid of the damn yard signs. I can't emphasize that enough.
And I'll give you the one point that they do more than anything, and this is a 70s, 80s thing. If you go back to the CIA or you go back to any of this is inundating us to think what someone else thinks.
Yeah.
We're far past that in this world.
Oh,
I obviously from this election, the brain works differently than the media says.
Oh, no question.
Like it definitely does. And and you're right, like yard signs they're pointless.
They're pointless. They do nothing in terms of
pointless.
they
I'm
do
sure
nothing
someone
except
has a
trigger.
Somewhere.
They do nothing, John, except trigger people to be angry over the fact that this person may disagree with me politically. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to teach them a lesson, and I'm going to go over there and I'm going to rip their yard sign out and I'm going to rip it up and shred it to death.
It's too dumb.
What are we, 8? What the hell is going on here?
Like,
oh my goodness gracious! Just get rid of them.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Let's try to seamlessly roll into
Let's talk about the contentious elections in the past to kind of give everybody like an idea of like, just because, I think there was so much hype over this thing as to whether or not Trump was going to get reelected and, oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh, the sky's going to fall. We have been down this road so many times. So John, I think you should be able to share your screen here. Let me just go ahead and just give you that ability.
I think I got something for you. We always forget to do that.
We always forget to do this, but that's okay.
There we go.
There we go.
This is the 2000 election, which if anybody remembers, look at those fine gentlemen there. They don't look like that now.
No.
Well, Joe, I liked his movie, George W. Bush. Don't hate me.
Yep.
W was a great movie. Just talking about how he was in the shadow of his father, and it was a good story. Don't hate me for liking something. Al Gore did not invent the internet.
Are we sure about that? Are we sure about that, John? I don't know.
He totally said he did, but you know what I mean? Like, he definitely did not.
But I mean,
God, good old Joe Lieberman. Oh man, I like him.
Look at these
good
electoral
Democratic
votes.
Candidate.
Yeah. Let's take a look at that electoral vote. 271 to 266. I mean, you want to talk about a razor thin margin. Mm-hmm. Good Lord Almighty.
And they had to stop it.
Yeah.
They had to stop the election. Look at the popular vote. The popular vote. Sorry.
You're talking 500,000 people. So that, to put in perspective, 5 Rose Bowls. Rose Bowl fits like about 100,000 people.
Yes.
You could fit 5 people, 5 groups of Rose Bowls in the difference between that popular vote. And I remember this very well. John, of course, you and I both go back to this, where it was all about the hanging chad in Florida, right? It was all about just a couple counties in Florida had a very, let's just say, antiquated way of counting chads. And, or counting votes. It was basically, from what I remember, you had to, with a letter opener, poke your decision, basically. Just go in there and boop, pop open what your vote was going to be. And some people didn't fully go all the way over. And so, there was this, they were looking to see if it was, whether or not it was fully completed or not. I'll never forget that picture.
Yeah, it was hanging on one. It was, Tucker Carlson actually did a big expose on that recently.
Yeah.
Talking about how back then it was very important.
Yeah.
It was very important. Like, that was on TV constantly. Like, we knew more about hanging chads than we did who won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
Which I think was the Baltimore Ravens, but I can tell you more about hanging chads than I can about the Baltimore Ravens.
It really was an amazing election. Yeah.
And if I'm wrong, sorry. I think I'm right though.
Yeah.
Just a real quick look at how
close this was. Look at that. I mean, it is literally carbon copy of what you see now in terms of the electoral map, with the only difference probably being Virginia going the way of, would be the Democrats, I
Oh,
think.
absolutely. That went Democrat. This
Yep, Arizona.
this
Yep.
stayed. No, this went to Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
This went to Democrat.
Yeah.
So blue kind of went this way. Blue kind of went a little bit in here, which is very, very rare, because when Trump won in 2016, it was crazy. He won Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
He won Florida, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, as you see,
Yeah.
Bush won Florida. But also, just throw a little bit of shade on Bush. His brother was the governor in which the problem happened. So no, just throw shade. Not being
Exactly.
not trying to be political, but I'm just saying, like, extra story to the story.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
The governor of Florida in which George W. Bush won was his brother.
25 electoral votes were up for grabs between the two candidates, and it was down to, and ultimately it was down to a couple of counties, if I'm not mistaken. There was a lot of litigation. There was a 30-day wait, and then all of a sudden Gore was like, you know what, concede, because he knew at that point, I think, and you could look this up on Wikipedia. It's a fascinating read, but it ultimately came down to Gore just didn't have enough votes in a couple of counties within Florida that really tipped that scale to Bush. And Bush ended up winning Florida, which gave him the Electoral College win in Florida. But you want to talk razor thin margin. Nothing new under the sun, John.
Let's go on to another one we have. If you can see up in this tab, we have this 1948 election.
This was the famous Dewey defeats Truman. Yeah.
But do research.
Yeah.
Do research. Just that's all I'm gonna say. Research on this guy, research on this guy, research on that. Do a bunch of research here.
Oh yeah.
I was in politics. Thank
Yeah.
God that doesn't happen now.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Mr. Dewey and
so this was post. So I'll give you a little bit of a sample. This is post World War II. We definitely have been, obviously we're victorious. We beat the Nazis. We come back from this, and it's the first presidential election post World War II. You have a Thomas Dewey. Truman, of course, took over for FDR. FDR, I believe, or so, I'll have to look this up. Maybe I think Truman was FDR's vice president, and FDR, I believe, either died in office or there was some sort of transition, or Truman ended up winning 44. I'll have to look that up. But essentially what happened was Dewey, odds-on favorite to win. He's going to win it. He's being called to win it in the press. The press are basically just loving Dewey, the whole 9 yards. So much so that I forget which, it might have been like either the Washington Post or some of the major news had Dewey defeats Truman. And it was a huge, huge thing, right? Of what's been happening. That was like, it was called for Dewey.
Yes.
And what happens? Truman, 303 electoral vote win. Landslide victory in terms of Electoral College, beats Dewey in this, but again, contentious election.
And you can see it down here. Truman covered.
Yeah. He had most of the country.
Most of the country. And then just bringing that up, not to equate it to the 2020 election, but this is just, we're just trying to bring different different elections that are as crazy as this one. We don't know how this one's going to go, or obviously I don't even care. And neither does Matt. That's why we're not like sitting here giving you Trump, Biden. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Because we got to go to work tomorrow. We got stuff we got to do. We've got families to raise. We got stuff.
Yep.
We've got goals to meet.
Yep.
We're not worrying about who the president is. We're not worrying about whether we elected him or we didn't elect him. Because we actually don't care about him.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to, honestly, I believe saying this, me and Matt as Republicans, we're looking to the midterm elections to see how we can advance the House better.
Yeah.
and how we can't get people in for our views, whether it be local or anything. I think that's probably what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Election wise, I think that's what me and you are going to be doing in the next year or two, because you need to start learning who the up and comers are, like trying to change the world. That's what we're trying to do. So we're always going to be involved in it.
Yeah, and I think our biggest point, the biggest takeaway in all this, John, and I think you would agree with this. It's basically like this election hasn't been like any other election. It's like it's unprecedented or anything like that. No, this has been part of American, the American history for decades, centuries. We could even go all the way back to Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln was a controversial candidate back then in 1860. He was even more controversial in 1864 when he attempted to run for re-election and won it. So there have been so many different, opportunities and, elections that have been so controversial throughout the United States. So really our message is really just take heart for those that feel like either way, whether or not you agreed or disagreed with the election results.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Your life still continues on. I could even say this, John. I mean, I didn't say this in our pre-production meeting, but since moving here, I've been a resident, just outside of Philadelphia, in this county that I'm in. And I'm a combined 0 for 4 in terms of calling the president of the United States. 0 for 4. I've gotten it wrong 4 consecutive times since I moved. But I will say this. Since I've moved, I've had 3 separate jobs. My salary has gone up. Everything so far has been going very, very well, and I've been very blessed being here. And I'm sure for you, you probably have missed elections. You haven't called the right president. Your life goes on. You have a wife. You have kids. It's like, this is nothing new, ultimately, right? At the end of the day.
It's really nothing new. And it's nothing to be anxiety up or even celebratory of.
Exactly.
Because, you know what? In 4 years, we're going to be in the same spot. Like, always. And it's the great part of humanity is humanity cares.
Yeah.
And I think my biggest thing with that is I want this groundswell. I want to be a part, and I'm doing that.
Yep. That's why we came together with this.
Exactly. We've come together a million. We were doing groundswell work back in, 96.
Yeah. On opposite sides of the aisle. Yeah. Yeah.
So no, it's like politics is nothing new to me and Matt at all.
Yeah.
At all. It's actually, I think, why we became such good friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because politics, he believed wholeheartedly in one candidate. I believed wholeheartedly in another candidate.
Yeah.
And we both did groundwork.
Yeah.
And
we're both boots on the ground.
I bet you me and Matt would look differently if we were able to transport now.
Oh God, I would love to take
how that works out.
I would love to go back, hop in the DeLorean, right? If I had the access to the DeLorean, hop back to like in the mid 90s and tell my younger self, dude, don't worry about it. You're going to see elections that are going to just absolutely blow your mind, but take heart. Don't worry about it. It's like, everything's going to be just fine. The country's going to run. You're going to live your life, to your best of your ability, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, don't worry whether or not your guy makes it in or not. Yeah.
And I really think that's why we were put together in a certain sort of way to tell these stories, because like me and Matt having political talk is this isn't, we didn't just decide to put a podcast together.
Yeah.
We just reconnected. Thank you, coronavirus.
Absolutely.
For bringing my friend back.
Yeah.
So we can have these controversial conversations. We have these conversations in text message. Yeah. We're just trying to bring them to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're awesome. Because we disagree. We agree on a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
We also disagree on a ton of stuff.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of the best part.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think we both know the idea of, what the country stands for. And we both appreciate the country in which we currently live in. And, and all that kind of stuff. So, it's amazing when you come across and something is so heated and you see both sides of the aisle going at it back and forth, and you just like take a step back and you go like, whoa, okay, can we just calm down just a little bit and just see how it all plays out and just let it play, let the new guy come in and see what transpires. We have the opportunity to send them a message. And that's what makes this country so wonderful, is that we have the opportunity every 2 years to send Washington a message and say, no, you're not doing this right. And it's a strategic move and all that kind of stuff. And I get that, but you can basically tell your elected officials, I don't agree with you here.
Yeah.
I don't think this is where we should be going. That's tremendous power.
You can change the president's power by
Absolutely.
doing that in the
Yeah,
midterm.
absolutely. You can send them messages.
Because right now, if we were going on what we know at this moment, right? Joe Biden being president as a Democrat, right? But the Senate is controlled by the Republicans.
Yeah.
Now, in the midterm elections,
could that flip?
Right? If it flips, Joe Biden gets to do everything that he said he did. Because I guarantee you, if it was right now in politics, he's stonewalled because the Senate and him are not going to agree on anything.
Are not going to agree on anything. Exactly.
So if you're a Republican and you want to boost the Senate so that he can never do anything in his 4 years of presidency, you need to focus on the midterm elections. You also, as a Republican, if you want to change how things are done, you need to focus on Congress and the House. Because if Republicans hold both of them, then Joe Biden doesn't do anything. On the flip side of liberals, you need to run the House and the Senate to get anything done. That's how this political thing works.
Yeah, exactly. And it could all change. And that's the thing. It could all change again, John, in like 4 years. That's what makes the country so amazing.
It could get weird.
Back to the other side, 4-8 years. And so
Trump or someone like Trump or someone kind of like Trump or someone that might look like Trump. Kanye West could run. He's already said he's running for president.
Who knows? Yeah, exactly.
I mean? He's one of. I love that dude. Won't go any further than that.
Exactly.
Thinks a lot like me. I like him. Or I think a lot like him because he's older. I'll give him that connotation.
No doubt. Yeah.
I love if anybody hasn't checked it out, Joe Rogan's podcast with Kanye West, probably the best 3 hours that you'll ever spend. It's awesome.
There you go.
Anybody that like Joe Rogan, cares about humanity, and so does Kanye West, and they completely look at it in two different ways. That's more what I'm excited about. That they did that. Because it's two people that look at humanity in two completely different
ways. Yeah.
And they're also extremely successful and have a willingness to help people. Yeah. That's kind of where me and Matt come from, is we have a willingness to help and we have a willingness to change, but we're not gonna play on the old, we're not playing on the old scale. Yeah. We're not playing, we are literally doing stuff on medians that don't like us and will censor us. We're doing it as a point. We already have a backup. Yeah. We already know how this is going to go. Exactly. We already know how this is going to go. But we're going to force an agenda of peace and love because we can. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And we will. Exactly. So let's transition from there, John. We just hope, obviously, Biden does well for the country, but yeah, I mean, whoever's in charge. Yeah. Do something. You know what? Bring us together. Yeah, exactly. Good luck. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, but good. Yeah, we'll be pulling for you. But anyway, let's transition from there. And let's talk a little bit about, you talk about the Supreme Court, of course, Judge Barrett being seated. Absolutely. They are currently hearing an oral arguments about a case that was happening between a Catholic adoption agency and the city of Philadelphia. It's a case that is very controversial right now. Basically, the city was trying to force a different set of moral standards on this adoption agency. And I'm not going to go into great detail over this, but go into a little bit of detail there, Matt, because it catches people's eyes more for religious freedom, in which the Constitution allows us.
Exactly.
Go a
Yeah.
little bit more in depth.
So yeah, I mean, from what I've read about it, John, it's kind of like the Catholic Adoption Agency wants to put these children in homes that have a mom and a dad in it, and so you have the gays and the lesbians. They're obviously they don't have moms and dads, so it's kind of like that's where the controversy is coming into place, and the city is basically enforcing or trying to enforce Catholic, these Catholic, this Catholic institution or whatever, to go against their conscience, and that is a huge stumbling block for, anybody of religious faith, where they have.
Can I ask you a simple question?
Go for it.
So what they're doing is they're not allowing adoption to single parents.
So my understanding of the case is that the city is trying to say to this Catholic institution, look, you must give kids away to people that, that are gay and lesbian. And the Catholics are saying, I can't under religious conscience. My conscience and my doctrine and my belief system tells me that, I can't, I just have a very difficult time in giving,
and this is, and let me just speak on this. That's why the Supreme Court needs to be in charge of this, because there's a right answer everywhere with that, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Because why can't kids have their home, whether it be this or that or this or that? But also religiously, you can't take their beliefs away.
Absolutely.
So almost you need to create two different things.
Mm-hmm.
You need to, because you can't allow Catholicism to tell the law how to do it, but yet Catholicism should be able to run the way they run. But you need an alternate to that concept.
Exactly.
But that also comes with local government and money, because what they're doing is relying on the government, but it's infringing on church and state, and that's been a thing for years.
Exactly. And that's the rub. That's where to your point, that's where the tension and everything is happening in this case. And it kind of just begs the question of like, okay, so what do you do in this, in this decision? So, you have Barrett in there, you have the whole Supreme Court that's probably going to be ruling on the side of religious freedom, not to knock the city of Philadelphia, but to your point, and I think that's so well stated, there has to be another way, another opportunity for a gay and lesbian couple that if they wanted to adopt, here's a way that they can do it. There's a different option or a different avenue. Why they go to a Catholic, I don't quite understand that. That doesn't make any sense.
There has to be, religion has to be allowed.
Absolutely.
But religion doesn't have to be the standard bearer.
Right.
And that's where I have the problem with it. Because I don't run up and down the street and on a Sunday and care about other religions that are being involved in what I'm being involved in. Right? I'm not like, and this is a whole point about peace in the Middle East with Israel and the 3 peace deals that have been signed. That's what was happening then, and it almost seems like it's happening now at a lower scale. I mean, people, and let's not even get into humans. Humanity has died in a grand scale in the Middle East.
Absolutely.
Over religion. And that's not okay. That's never been okay.
No.
More people have died in the name of God than anything else ever in the history of the world.
And it's also true, John, that basically the 20th century has seen more religious persecution than any other centuries, than all the other previous 19 centuries combined.
How crazy is that?
Not amazing?
That's a crazy number.
Yeah.
We're not even throwing out numbers, but just me and Matt get that. No, if you're talking about 3 centuries to 1 century.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm even talking not just the last 3. I'm talking the last 19. There's been more religious persecution in the 20th century than there was even prior to the 20th. So you're talking from the first to the 19th century. Take that block of time.
Group.
The
Wow.
20th century dwarfs over it.
Well, because history teaches you.
Yeah. But think about it. Just think about, like, you have the communists, you have all those people that were dying because of their not to their allegiance to the state, but to their religion, and they were put to death for it. So that's where we get into huge problems whenever whenever the state becomes greater than a religion, whatever the case may be. That's where we're really shaky. We get really shaky on a lot of ground there. But yeah, I mean, to your point,
it's tough, but
it's very difficult. Yeah.
State is important,
Yep.
but it's also scary.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants, I mean, we all do. We all want to be kind of guided and told what to do. That's what our parents are for. That's what everything's about, is helping along.
Yeah.
But the segregation of church and state is important in a way.
Yes.
Because how can you allow the Catholic Church to tell a gay or lesbian couple that they can't adopt a child to give them a better life?
Yeah.
What that's we are both Christian, so
it's a very delicate balancing act.
We're not trying to force any of that on anybody. What we're trying to just explain is that that's a little weird, and going to the Supreme Court, hopefully that'll work out well.
Yeah.
That'll work out well, that maybe we can, you know what I mean? Like, if the Catholic Church is not willing to be involved, then maybe the Catholic Church needs to back up with just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to hold such construct, then that needs to be the people that believe in your faith. And that's okay. Because, I mean, Buddhists have dealt with this. Hinduism has dealt with
that. Yep.
A lot of people don't believe in it. They've taken a step back, and they're not in the world view because people don't want that.
Yeah.
But the people that do, they love it.
Yeah.
And that's religious freedom.
Exactly.
You should be able to pray to whatever you think and believe helps you. 100%. Yeah. And nobody should have a say against it. Not a one person. You should be able to do.
Yeah, there's such a thing called free.
Serve people.
I was just going to say, John. I was just going to say, John, that there's such a thing called free will, and that's where the balancing act comes in. Because if I get exactly what you're saying. The free will is so important for a lot of people. Obviously, it's what we've been gifted with. The question is, what do we use it for to the best of our ability, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
If you're not serving people, then you're not doing right by any.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because serving people is the most important, and I know this from religious studies throughout my entire life. Everything's the same.
Yeah.
Legitimately, everything's the same. Yeah. Every Bible, every book, everything you've ever read, it's about serving people. Yeah. So if you're using it to be against the religion, that's where I disagree with it.
That's where you,
because it's all about find whatever helps you. You will find your way. Everybody will find your way. Trust me, I did. I've been all over the map.
I think you've covered every base, John.
But I've also served my community.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was never lost, but I was.
Yeah.
In religious structure. But who needs to worry about any of that?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like Matt is an awesome human being. Matt gets deep. I get kind of deep.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We have the same values, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It is nuts.
It's crazy.
Let's
values are the same, but the way we got there is not the same.
It's not the same.
And that's how it kind of works out.
Exactly. Well, let's lighten the mood up a little bit. I mean, we've had a couple of deep discussions.
Let's finish this on a
really weird and strange note, but I think it's so indicative of of health and well-being. We talk about this a lot. And we've touched base on it too, John, in our Instagram lives in the past of why
it's so. And I think we're going to continue. I think we're going to continue a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about health and wellness. I have some people lined up right now, we, we're trying to book shows as best we can.
Yeah.
So I have people that know some stuff about some stuff that we would love to do a little bit more on this, but we want to focus on America and portion size.
Yeah.
And kind of explain just a little. And I want Matt to talk about his story. His story's a little bit different than mine, but we're gonna play a little video for you real quick.
Let's do that first. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll play a little video, and get this going. Sorry, I didn't delete them.
That's all right.
Oh, there's a ton of it over here, and I got you in the way. Hold on, just give me 1 second. I'm sorry. There's going to be a little ad because we can't get around that. I apologize.
Whatever you have at home.
It's going to go quick. I'm sorry. You just can't get around YouTube at this point.
Veggies taste amazing.
So, and they will demonetize us for this, by the way. So this is just a minute 16. He's going to... Oh, wow.
This is, yeah, that's a Domino's. Not exactly what we wanted, but...
Yeah, we totally just went rogue there.
Oh, so the tab to your left there, John, of the upper left-hand corner.
Yeah, I didn't even see that one. That's funny.
There you go. Yeah, if you just hit the replay button at the bottom.
No, not that guy. Yes, there we go. No.
Nope.
Wow, this sucks. Okay, hold on.
But yeah, like portion sizes, it's just an amazing thing.
Yeah, just keep talking, Matt, and I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But yeah, it's an amazing thing. Like when we get this video up and running. Here we go. Yeah.
There we go.
Look at that. 9 menu items to 170. Scroll back up for me. Yeah, there you go, John. I mean, you got 3 times the size between the original hamburger to the quarter pounder with deluxe. That's crazy.
You're there. I just got to bring myself back.
Yeah, you're back. So we just watched that whole video. John, I just saw the size between what was the original hamburger dating back to 1955, which is like about 3.5 ounces or so. The quarter pounder deluxe, 9.6. So you're talking 3 times the size of portion sizes between what was originally sold back in 1955 to now. And this isn't a riff on McDonald's or anything like that, but this is something that was really concerning when you're talking about like getting the right kind of food into your system. And I could share a little bit about me. Growing up, it was pretty much like fast food diet, mostly during lunch and things along those lines. I would have that. And, it was just, you could tell I was getting a little sluggish a whole bit, and I was gaining weight, obviously. And mostly, I guess it was about a couple of years ago, I decided to just get back into shape again. And not only just from the going to the gym every other day or every 3 times a week prior to pandemic, but the portion sizes were probably the biggest key. And I was eating food that was probably like, you're talking maybe 7-8 ounces. You cook that or something along those lines, or maybe they were 9, maybe push 10. But it was a lot to eat. And then it was not only just that, John, but it was the snacking on top of that. So you're just adding so much weight to your system, and you're kind of just building up on it, you know. And then it was like you just hear, like, I would love to get your wife on down the road and talk about this, of course, but because she knows very much a lot about eating right and diet and all that kind of stuff. But really, to be able to reduce the portion sizes and when you snack is probably the most important thing that, you know, has really changed my life. And within 2 years, 2 years ago, I was about 220 pounds. I'm now probably around 185, 186. So I've lost close to 40 pounds, you know, of just dead weight. And that,
Yeah,
you know, took a lot of time, but it was just, you know, it was an amazing stat when that came across, you know, my Facebook memories. It was like, wow, you know, I couldn't believe it was 220. But it was just dedication and making sure that I was eating right was probably the biggest thing for me. Yeah, just making sure your portions are right are probably the most important thing.
Oh, absolutely. This has been the thing that I've gotten into. I just wanted to share that video kind of to get into this conversation. Back in the early 2011, 2012, I started really taking my health seriously. I've been a lifelong smoker, not now, but and my body didn't feel right. And part of it was I ate a lot of fast food. I was always out about. I was always like cooking for myself was not my thing early in life at all.
Yeah.
And I always felt sluggish. I always felt, you know, not quite there, not blah, 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 blah. And then I this was funny when I met my wife. It's really funny because I had this concept that Matt is talking about is portion sizes. 4-ounce steak to a pound of broccoli probably is better for you than a 12-ounce steak and 4 morsels of broccoli. And not eliminating things, like not eliminating some salt, not eliminating, you know, butter, but reducing it, like portions, but always portion. Like, and I knew nothing about fitness at this point. I just knew fast food was bad and I needed to do a better job.
Yeah.
So when I met my wife, we actually were able to put two things together and we created what we have now, which is amazing. We cook some of the best stuff, but our health is the first thing we think about. It's all about the ingredients we pick. It's all about portion sizes. It's all about using the right oil for the right concept. How are you going to this? How are you going to do that? It's a science project. And
it really is.
You know me and Amber, we love science. It's been a science project for years. Of trying to figure out how we're making, no joke, we're making, in the next couple of days, we're making homemade Chinese food. We're making General Tso's chicken. But we're not following any recipe. What we're doing is we have all of it and we're going to put it together to what's going to taste good, but what's also going to be healthy.
Yeah.
You can't just eat to eat. You have to eat for a purpose.
Yeah.
And me gaining weight and Matt losing weight. This is it, because I've been very, very, very slim my whole life because of thyroids, because of medical things that I'm slowly getting under control, and I'm gaining weight. I have to eat with a purpose because I don't want to be cold when it's 60 degrees out. And Matt doesn't want to be hot when it's 90.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta get that level yourself out and understanding that portions are probably the biggest thing in eating, whether it's obesity or it's anorexia or it's everybody's gotta come and understand that portions will help so much. It's not gonna fix any of it.
Yeah.
Like health and wellness is what you're willing to commit to your body, and that's okay.
Yep.
Nobody's bad because you weigh a certain weight or you don't weigh a certain weight. You're not a bad person.
Absolutely.
But if you want to make changes, my suggestion is look at the portions inside. of what you're doing.
Yeah.
How much calories you intaking here? How much are you here? How much are you here?
Mm-hmm.
It's a big, and Matt knows this. We've talked about this a million times. He knows this exact same thing.
Yep.
He didn't want to be this. He was realizing I'm doing X, I'm doing Y, I'm doing Z, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
So once he cut that out, he's now happy with
It
where
really,
he's at.
I'll just further elaborate on that, John. Thanks for that. But yeah, it's like I can remember when I first moved in here, my diet was pretty much frozen skillet bags with extra virgin olive oil. So that was my dinners basically, and so I would scoop out like I had no idea of a portion size. I had no clue of a portion size. So if you can imagine, you get like basically my portion size, I'll give you, was the skillet pan. That was the portion size for me, right?
No,
So I have all of that, and I throw in the EVOO, and I'm like, and it's fine, it's like no big deal. But the sodium was huge, was ginormously bad. And it just got to a point where it's like I was getting sluggish. I was always being tired. I was always kind of worn out, all that kind of stuff. And I could never figure it out. Could not figure it out. Meanwhile, I'm gaining weight, all that kind of stuff. And I'm trying to figure all this out. I'm like, what the heck am I doing wrong? It's like because I love the food that I'm eating, but the problem was the portions. The portions were the biggest thing. And I was kind of one of those guys where it was like, I would go in and grab what I needed, but I wasn't paying attention. It was just like, okay, grab this. This tastes well. This tastes good. That kind of thing. There was no purpose behind my shopping. There was no purpose behind me going and like saying, okay, I want this, I want that. And I even thinking back to the late 90s, early 2000s, I had no concept. It was just like, okay, how am I hungry today? Well, I guess I'll go to Wawa and get something to eat from there. Or I'll go to a McDonald's, or I'll go to Burger King down the street and I'll eat that. But the portions were just way off, way off. And so like I kept gaining, like I said, kept gaining weight. It wasn't until like, I think I had a health scare. This was about a couple of years ago. All of a sudden woke up 3:30 in the morning, was short of breath. And I was like that. And I felt something in the heart. It was right here. I'll never forget it. It was like, whoa, okay. Whatever that was, there was something going on there. It was a warning sign for me. And so it was like, okay, I was determined at that moment to kind of say, okay, I got to get back into the gym. It's amazing how these things happen. But it was like, I got to get back into the gym. I got to go and work myself, not only lose the weight that I've got, but then it's like, how do I once I get the weight off, how do I keep it off and make sure that I eat right? So talking to my sister, talking to my, my brother-in-law, talking to your wife, people that know, like, just being able to share their triumphs and their struggles of going through, how to portion correctly was the biggest thing. And so now what do I do? Well, salad every night for dinner. And I make sure that whenever I have a meat, whether it's chicken, pork, hamburger, whatever the case is, I make sure that it's 5 ounces. It's just enough for a fist, basically.
And I learned this with babies. They can't eat any more than a fist.
Yeah.
Because that's the size of your stomach.
That's
legitimately in science. That's the size of your stomach.
Exactly. So you don't inflate. And yeah. But it's like when you go out to any of these restaurants, John, you could probably speak of this in Texas. I know I can speak to it here in Pennsylvania.
Oh, God.
They're easily twice the size, if not close to even pushing 3. I mean, that's
no
close.
Joke. I took my daughter out the other night. No joke. There was so much food on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Not even not even for like human consumption.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you an example.
Not. Like, I just wanted a steak, some potatoes, and some nachos, and have a good night. You know what I mean? Taking the kid out, right?
Yeah.
It was so much. We actually threw half of it out. Which it sucks.
Yeah.
And that's what most people deal with.
Yeah.
With going out and that's why I think portion size, and we'll probably do a couple more on these because I have a great concept of it.
Well,
and I know definitely I can't wait to see what you and Amber put together.
It just hit me just now, John, actually, when you just mentioned the fact that you had to throw half of that food away. Think about that. That's 5 ounces that could go to a homeless shelter. That could go to someone like Phil Abundance up here in Philadelphia. Could go
No,
to any of that. Why are we extra portioning our food when we can really, like, collectively within the restaurant business? And I understand like why they want to do it, because the costs are going, whatever the case may be.
No, I understand why we do what we do.
But again, you don't need a 10-ounce burger to have a good time in a bar, right? You need something that's 6 ounces, 5 ounces even. And you can portion this out perfectly so that you're not overstuffing. I could tell you there's a bar that's not that far from where I'm living, John. And it's based in Chicago, but they, basically came out here, and of course they're in San Francisco, and they're all over the place in the United States. Their burgers, no liar, they've got to be at least 10 pounds or 10 ounces minimum. And they are enormous. They are like, it is a chore to get through that. And I mean, I chow down, I get it done, but they were contributing to the weight gain because of just the sheer size.
No, absolutely.
Burger and the roll on top of it. It's too much.
No, absolutely. No, definitely. Food's a struggle, but
yeah,
you're doing amazing.
Well, thank you.
actually in what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, same to you, man.
So no, it's not a bad thing, but we're doing well.
Yeah.
I just want to bring that to light. I just want to bring that portion stuff to light, because that's something people almost think that they need to eat that much, because that's what's put it. It's almost like that weird generational thing that we had that I'm trying to stop, is eat it because I put it there. Like, no, eat until you're not hungry.
There's no shame. There's, and that was the thing. I think
in smaller portions.
Yeah.
Like
I think there was always that pressure. There was always that societal pressure that, like, if you've got a 10-ounce whatever, you got to make sure you finish it.
Yeah, you got to
Don't leave with a doggy bag. You can leave with a doggy bag. It's fine.
Yeah, because you can have lunch, and it'll probably save you money.
You think?
You're spending $25 for it, and if you can spend 25 over 2, it might be less.
Might be less.
25.
Just saying. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know exactly. Like, no, but that's just not something we think very similar to that.
Yeah, exactly. No,
we literally had to throw it out because we weren't ready to eat it again, because we ate so much when we went out that we didn't actually get to eat our leftovers the next night.
Yeah. You know what was amazing too, John? It's like, you're thinking about it like in an inverse relationship. Like up here would be like, here's the amount of food we're consuming. Here's the amount of time we're spending exercising. It's got to be like this. It's got to be 50-50.
50-50 is the only way to go. Like, it's all work, life, balance.
Balance, yeah.
Like, you have to party as hard as you work.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't work that hard, don't party that hard.
Don't party that hard. Yeah.
If you, it's the same thing with eating and exercise. If you eat a ton, exercise a ton.
Yeah.
If you eat little, exercise little.
Yeah.
You gotta find it, and it's not. That is not a scale in which I would like to put out in front of people.
Yeah.
What my point of that is you have to do you.
Yeah.
Whatever you is what's important to you. It will keep you alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
You have to look yourself in the mirror. Like, I don't have to look anybody in the mirror other than myself.
Yeah, and that's probably the worst thing that you can do, is put yourself in someone else looking at you and saying, hey, you got to lose 10 pounds or whatever. No. You
can't do that.
No.
I'm a grangly human being. I work out. And I can go. Yeah. Guess what?
Yeah.
Not everybody can.
Exactly.
But also, I don't eat because I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
So all I do is fight muscle all the time. Like, I'm gaining weight now. I'm trying. Quitting smoking was the greatest gift of my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Quitting smoking was amazing for me.
Yeah.
It actually
remember
makes my
you were,
voice
yeah,
sound cool. Um,
yeah,
yeah, that was when I put that down. That was something that I held up. That was anxiety and depression. That's
yeah,
all that was.
yeah. There was something to do.
Yeah, it
Get
was
rid
something
of, yeah.
my brain didn't. Now I have a podcast. Looking
But
podcast.
no, it's like, no, to your point though, John, it was, it was something that you wanted, it was something you wanted to do to alleviate that anxiety. But
Exactly.
now it's like you're eating better, you're feeling a lot better,
Yeah.
and it's like you're gaining the weight because of that, because you're portioning everything out perfectly.
That I've always cared about doing because all I ever wanted to do was to gain weight. I always cared to have the weight problem that everybody was complaining about.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was also, I couldn't do it. It was the way my metabolism was built. And as I got older, it changed, but changing eating habits made it's both sides. It's literally, we can give both sides to
Yeah.
the argument.
I could tell you, like, for me, from my personal perspective, weighing 220 and playing hockey, my lower back would be killing me because of all the extra weight around the core that I was carrying. And
Without the core.
right, without a core, exactly.
Yeah, without the
So-
core, because the core is the way to start. Once you have
Mhm.
the core, I don't have a core right now. I'm gaining weight right now. Have no core because I haven't been working out.
But here's the thing though. Here's the thing. Reducing the weight and getting the core stronger while also simultaneously lowering the portion sizes that I eat at dinner time and at lunch.
Everything makes
Much
you
better.
the man that you want to be.
Yeah.
And it makes you
And
happy.
I'm not taking any, and that's the thing. I'm not taking any medicine after I play a hockey game now. Like, I haven't taken like an Advil after a hockey game in like the last 2 or 3 games that I played in. Now, granted, that's not a whole heck of a lot of games, but I guarantee you, prior to this, I was popping pills. Like, I would be like 2 pills of Advil after every Old Man's Winter Classic that I talked about last week. After every one of those games, boom. After every one of the Alex Murray game, boom. Right in the, because my back was killing me because of all the extra weight. But after that, it was like I could have kept going, and it's like you lose that. It's amazing what happens when you're able to portion everything out just perfectly, and it takes time. It took me 2 years.
No time limit. There's absolutely no time limit.
And there's no time limit. Yeah.
I've been working on this since 2011. It's 2020.
Yeah.
I've perfected nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
It's always a battle. It's always going to be a battle.
Exactly. You're always gonna up, down.
Yep.
I try to say this to my wife all the time, she's the soldier of soldiers with portion control, and she taught me a lot, but it's time. You'll get there.
Yeah.
And even if you don't, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At least you're trying. Trying, I think, is trying and living for me is the greatest gift that you can give anybody that you talk to or have a relationship with.
Yep.
Trying means more than knowing or doing. And that's kind of what I think our podcast is encompassing. Like, I'm tired of seeing ads on Facebook, but you could be better if you just tried.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear nonsensical stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that what we wanted to do with this last ending, and Matt will sign us off in a minute, is we just want to, humans are humans, and we'll figure it out. And much love to everybody. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, you yourself will figure it out. I'll figure it out, because me and Matt are not, we're not speaking from the top
Ivory Tower or whatever. Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah.
We're speaking to you from the ground, and we're trying to just bring people together of stuff that actually makes sense in our brains that we want to talk about.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's
Please, just real quick before you sign us off, because I think we're about ready to go.
Yep.
Bitchute, Rumble, YouTube. We are looking into. We need help though. We're looking into getting this on to Apple Podcast and Spotify, but we need more people to be involved in it.
Absolutely.
Comment, share, love it. It doesn't matter. Just helping us grow it
Yeah.
we've said this a million times. We're not afraid. Sorry, Freudian slip. Freudian slip. We're not afraid to taking on a second job.
Yeah.
Either of us.
Yeah.
Like at all.
Yeah. This is Sunday that we're filming this. So
It's fun
like,
for us.
yeah,
We like the work.
absolutely.
We're not afraid of this.
Yep.
So if people can help and people can share and speak that maybe we're doing something good, who knows? We're going to continue this.
We're going to keep doing it.
We're just going to keep going. Episode 4 will be episode 20 before we even know it.
Crazy.
But BitChute, Rumble, YouTube. We have Instagram. We have a Facebook page.
Yep.
We have a Twitter page. We will be more active on them.
Mm-hmm.
It could be we were waiting for the election because everybody's involved in the election. We're gonna start pushing socials out.
Yep.
And we'll be good with that. And we have something in the tank. We're probably gonna have a couple of specials coming up.
Yep.
You know,
Potential interviews coming.
We've got some ideas to film some specials. So
Yep.
please look out for stuff. We're gonna do some kind of couch talk. We're gonna change the way media works. That's our plan.
That's our goal. Yeah.
So let Matt sign us off.
John, always a pleasure with being with you, of course. And yeah, right back at you. This is Two Noobs Talking. This is Matt. This is John. John,
And Matt, don't go down the
don't go down the rabbit hole. Talk to y'all later.